What Caitlin Clark did, because so many eyeballs were on her, was she is a huge multiplier effect of that.
I see a lot of players wanting to go, in this offseason, a lot of players are going to want to go to the Fever.
Imagine you're at an Indiana Fever game, and the crowd erupts as Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aliyah Boston, Lexie Hull, and Satou Sabally step onto the court together. Sounds almost too good to be true, right?
I'm just trying to think of who potentially could be in their plans. Like, obviously, Satou Sabally is a potential player who you can get via some sort of trade, via sign and trade.
Well, GM Amber Cox recently gave an interview that has fans buzzing about this very possibility. Let's break down what she said and why it's got everyone thinking the Fever might be building a WNBA super team. In this video, we're covering everything from Clark's Time Magazine Athlete of the Year honor to free agency and what the Fever are doing to position themselves as a championship contender. Are you ready? Let's dive in.
I think we're obviously at this very pivotal time in the WNBA, and obviously led by the Indiana Fever. But I think all those experiences will lend themselves to hopefully doing the best job possible here.
Amber Cox just teased some major moves for the Fever's offseason, sparking excitement among fans. As the new GM, she's not just making changes, she's overseeing a complete transformation of the team. Now, let's talk about Tamara Fagan.
The entire world was shocked during the WNBA expansion draft when Tammy Fagan became available, especially because when you look at last season, she played a really huge part in the Fever's success in terms of getting to that point where you all were able to make the playoffs.
Cox's decision not to protect her in the expansion draft surprised many. It's not every day a team lets go of a solid contributor, but Cox explained that it wasn't an easy choice. This group obviously built great camaraderie.
You know, it's really part of an overall plan, which hopefully everyone will see unfold throughout the offseason.
Great camaraderie in the second half of the season, so it was a tough decision, she said. It's clear there's more to this move than meets the eye. Here's where things get even more intriguing. Cox hinted at a larger plan for the Fever, teasing fans with a cryptic message. It's really part of an overall plan which hopefully everybody will see unfold during the offseason. What could she be up to? Is a blockbuster trade on the horizon, or perhaps a major free agent signing? Cox, with her experience guiding the Phoenix Mercury to 2 championships, knows what it takes to build a winning team. She's focused on developing a team identity, particularly by strengthening their defense. We're still developing our identity, and getting better on the defensive side of the ball will help shape who we become over the next year or two, Cox explained.
So obviously we want to take the next step. So I think as we're looking to free agency, we'll think about veterans coming in with that playoff experience.
Now, let's take a look at the Fever's financial situation. With around $650,000 in cap space, they have the flexibility to make some big moves, potentially even offering max contracts to key players. Cox is clearly aiming high, targeting versatile players who can contribute on both ends of the court. Let me know if you'd like further tweaks or refinements.
Get into free agency. The number one priority for us is re-signing Kelsey Mitchell. I think that backcourt was about as lethal as we've seen in the WNBA, and I'm talking maybe in history in the second half of the season last year.
The biggest news, however, is all about Kelsey Mitchell. Cox put all the rumors to rest, stating unequivocally, "We want Kelsey back. She's had an incredible career here, and no one deserves this opportunity to be part of our success more than Kelsey." It's clear the Fever are all in on keeping their star guard. While it's not official yet, as free agency hasn't started, the Fever's management confirmed they will core Kelsey, meaning she's guaranteed to return.
So we want to reunite Caitlin and Kelsey. And Kelsey, when I think about her and her time in Indiana, and, you know, a lot of trials and tribulations throughout her career. So for me and for us, I'm most excited for her to be in this moment and experience so much success.
For another year under a max contract. So what's next for the Fever under Cox's leadership? It looks like we're in for an exciting offseason. But as the team plans its future, there's another story that's causing quite a stir. Caitlin Clark, the Fever's superstar point guard, just landed on the cover of Time Magazine as Athlete of the Year. But not everyone is thrilled about it.
Caitlin Clark was recently named Times Athlete of the Year.
Let's dive into the controversy that's rocking the basketball world. You might think that being named Athlete of the Year would be all praise and glory for Caitlin Clark, but it's turned into an unexpected battle as the basketball world divides over the decision. One voice cutting through the noise with a perspective that might change how you see the situation is Sheila Johnson, co-owner of the Washington Mystics. Johnson didn't hold back in criticizing Time's decision to feature Clark alone on the cover, arguing,
and Washington Mystics co-owner Sheila Johnson, responded to that by saying, I think the WNBA in its entirety should have been featured.
That the entire WNBA should have been recognized instead. When you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings, she said. Her words hit like a thunderbolt, sending shockwaves through the basketball community. The backlash was swift, with fans, players, and analysts coming to Clark's defense.
Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings.
Praising her remarkable achievements and the attention she's brought to women's basketball. Others sided with Johnson, claiming that focusing too much on one player could overshadow the collective success of the league. But amidst the controversy, one voice stood out.
How do you respond to those comments, and do you think the award should have been given to the entire WNBA rather than Caitlin Clark individually?
I think Caitlin Clark deserved that award.
Amber Cox, the Indiana Fever's GM. Cox stepped up to defend Clark, and her words packed a punch. She didn't stop there, explaining how Clark's impact goes far beyond her on-court performance.
Because she has so many fans, and you saw it across arenas, people are moving games because so many people wanted to see her play.
Cox painted a vivid picture of Clark's influence, saying what Caitlin Clark did, because so many eyeballs were on her, is a huge multiplier effect on the league's current growth. It wasn't just empty praise. Cox backed it up with a real-life example of how powerful the Caitlin Clark effect really is. And the story you're about to hear next will definitely warm your heart. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. Now, back to the action.
But we've never seen anything like Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is a superstar. Not a female superstar, she is a superstar.
We were coming to see Caitlin Clark play.
She moves the needle. The WNBA has been looking for someone who moves the needle.
Picture this. A couple shows up to a game, drawn in by the buzz around Caitlin Clark. Casual fans, maybe even first-timers, are walking out of games by the end of the night with season tickets in hand. That's the kind of impact Clark is having, turning curious onlookers into die-hard supporters with just a single game. Cox didn't overlook other rising stars like Angel Reese and Cameron Brink.
Look, I don't take anything away from other players that brought more eyeballs. Angel, Cameron, right? The identity and how much brand recognition these players now have in college absolutely helped the WNBA.
Acknowledging their contributions to the sport as well. But when it comes to Clark, Cox didn't mince words. We've never seen anything like Caitlin Clark. It's a bold statement, but one that's tough to argue with, considering Clark's record-breaking performances and the attention she's brought to women's basketball. As the Fever prepare for what could be a transformative offseason, the big question on everyone's mind is how Clark's star power will influence the team's strategy. The Indiana Fever are at a turning point, and under Amber Cox's leadership, the pieces of a championship puzzle are coming together. After losing Tamira Fagan-Lay in the...
Caitlin specifically has such a unique skill set. She loves to run, just incredible vision. Stephanie White sat down right where you are and said, we want to run. So how much are you thinking about the fit here as you close in on free agents?
It's the most important thing, right? You've got to get the players that fit with the system Stephanie wants to have on the floor.
Expansion draft. The Fever have fans buzzing with speculation about their next move. Fagan-Lay's departure was a tough call. Her versatility, leadership, and chemistry with Caitlin Clark made her a fan favorite.
But also her ability to run the floor with Caitlin Clark and how their games complemented each other. When we think about, that expansion draft, what was the thought process in making her available?
But the decision also signals the Fever's willingness to make bold moves in pursuit of long-term success. Free agency looms, and all signs point to the Fever making a splash. The team's foundation is already impressive, boasting Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexie Hull. But the front court remains an area for improvement, and rumors of a potential star acquisition are heating up.
The expansion draft is difficult. It's hard to lose a player. 6 is not very many when you think about protecting anybody on your roster.
The Sabally speculation. Satou Sabally, a standout from the Dallas Wings, is the name everyone's talking about. Coming off a stellar season, averaging 17.9 points per game on 45.2% shooting from beyond the arc, Sabally's offensive and defensive versatility make her a perfect fit for the Fever's system. The connection doesn't stop at her stats. Sabally shares the same agent as Aliyah Boston and has ties to Amber Cox from their time together in Dallas.
You never like to see a player leave. Temi was obviously an incredible piece to the success last year. But again, it's the price we pay for growth. We're really excited for Golden State to come online. And certainly it was a decision we made, but a decision that wasn't in a vacuum, part of an overall strategy that hopefully everyone will see unfold throughout the offseason.
Plus, her recent social media activity has fueled rumors of her interest in joining Indiana. If the Fever land Sabally, they'd instantly transform into title contenders. Her ability to stretch the floor, guard multiple positions, and complement the talents of Clark and Boston could make this lineup one of the most dynamic in the WNBA. Backup plans and strategic depth. Even if Sabally isn't in the cards, the Fever have other options. Gabby Williams, known for her defensive prowess and versatility, is reportedly on their radar. Whoever they target, the goal is clear: to add a forward who can seamlessly integrate.
I think the entire world was shocked during the WNBA expansion draft when Temi Fagbenle became available, especially because when you look at last season, she played a really huge part in the Fever's success in terms of getting to that point where you all were able to make the playoffs.
Into the team's growing culture of success. A bold vision for the future. Amber Cox's strategy goes beyond talent acquisition. She's fostering a championship mindset. With the Fever shedding their underdog status, the focus is on building a dynasty. Each move reflects a calculated effort to elevate the team to the league's elite. The Fever's offseason has fans and analysts alike speculating about their potential to dominate.
Fit is the most important thing. You got to have somebody that can run up and down the floor and catch those passes Caitlin's going to be throwing.
If all goes according to plan, Fever could leap from rebuilding to contending in record time. The Indiana Fever aren't just aiming for relevance, they're positioning themselves to take the WNBA by storm. The big question: are we witnessing the rise of the WNBA's next dynasty? With Caitlin Clark leading the charge, Aliyah Boston anchoring the paint, and the possibility of adding Satou Sabally to the mix, the Fever have the talent, leadership, and vision to achieve greatness.
So it's a lot of movement for me this offseason. The decision to change teams. Yeah, so I'll be a free agent this year.
The journey is just beginning, and the basketball world is watching. Stay tuned. The Fever story is far from over. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Who should the Fever target next?